This conference will now be recorded.
So let's say if you are an admin and in any organization, so this can be your not day-to-day task. I will not say it's a day-to-day task. It can be, but yes, sometimes you are required to install the operating system, which is usually fine for everybody. And for installing of the operating system, you might require not to do anything. I mean, you are required to make an ISO, which you just install or you just play okay, so just to play the ISO or start the installation, it automatically does everything like setting up the username, setting up the network, automatically doing the partition and all, everything it does on its own. You are not required to do anything at all. So in the chat, somebody asked me to share the previous recording session. Let me share the YouTube link from where person can check out on this. Just a second. This is a playlist of the videos which has been recorded so far, and it has been added on the YouTube in this playlist. There are other videos also which has been delivered already to the previous batches. If you want, you can go through that. You'll be able to find out in the same channel in another playlist. So the content may differ because I'm not following set of rules like I do have set of slides and that only I need to deliver. So some content might vary, but not largely. So on the top level, it's going to be the same. So I was into the installation of the automatic installation of the Linux. So you can do that for CentOS or rhel by using Kickstart configuration script. There is a called Kickstart configuration script. So there is a method for creating a Kickstart in a script. I will tell you how to do that. Just give me some time. I'm checking on the link where I can find out the Kickstart. Okay, I'm pasting a link. Using that link, you might require to register with the Red Hat, and there you will be able to find out uh, uh, how to create a Kickstart configuration. So okay, let me briefly explain about what is the Kickstart configuration and where we are going to place this, and then after that we'll see that how we are going to use, how we are going to create this Kickstart file. So for that, again, I'm going to share a link. Let me share this, but rather sharing this screen. Okay, let me share it itself. Yeah, so here if you look at the tab automatic installation, it means like you are going to install automatically. Just wait a second. I think there are lots of noise in the background. Yep. Yeah, so this we can do either through a DVD or from the CD as well. So here what we will, in a general procedure or top level understanding, what I can give is like we are going to we'll have a Kickstart file, and that Kickstart file we are going to extract first of all what are all ISO we are having, which we are going to install onto a system. And after extracting, we are going to keep our Kickstart file, and once again we are going to create the custom ISO with the Kickstart file, and that the customized ISO whatever we are having, that you are required to install onto a system, and which will do the automatic installation. That's what will happen. So we'll not have demo for this. You can do the demo on your own, and probably if you have an issue you can come back to me again. So I'm going to show just the process how to do that. So a record installation of Kickstart, manually install redhat Linux once. For detailed interactive installation, you can boot the installed system during the installation. Anaconda create a Kickstart file with the setting in the root file system. So you are after creating anaconda-kickstart.cfg, you are going to keep that in root. And after that, what it's saying is we will have a rhel ISO which you are required to mount into /mnt/. So, but here you can see that the rhel is the device rhel. Here it's showing as /tmp/rhel. So in our case, it's not going to be the /tmp/rhel. In our case, it's going to be mount-o loop, and then source is going to be maybe /sr0 or maybe /dvd. Sorry, /dev/sr0 or maybe /dev/dvd or something like that. in our case, because we are going to mount, or we will be mounting a DVD or CD in a virtual machine. And let's say if you have that ISO in your downloads, then you can directly give the link to ISO here. So we will mount that, and after mounting, we are going to create a directory in our root file system. A root rhel install is a directory, and then what is, I need to remember what is happening with this command, shopt, what this command is used for. Mm, so generally, this command actually it provides us uh, it provides control over many settings that has been used to tweak the operating system, and that is what we are going to do here. While installing, we will be tweaking several things in the operating system, and that can be done by shopt command. So we are going to copy whatever we have extracted here in /mnt into our rhel-install directory. And in our rhel-install directory itself, we have copied our file. Sorry, I mean, before that, we have copied this configuration file. And now we are going to copy this anaconda.case CFG into this root-install file. After that, we are going to, in the post script, there will be a section in this anaconda-case.cfg itself. That post script, you will be able to find out what is the username and password you're going to keep. So you can write it down, username and the password here. Display the DVD installation volume name. So which volume or volume name, volume ID you wanted to display, that you can give. Add a new menu entry to the boot. Let's say if you are booting, we have changed the menu label, I believe. We have shown during the grub, it changes the menu label. So that is what we can change it here as well. But anyways, that may not be required for you. And before you create ISO file from a working directory, execute the following step for a USB UEFI boot. If we do have a USB UEFI, you are required to boot this as well. We are required to mount the EFI image as well in MNT, and then we are required to edit the grub as well. And after editing, this is again the editing, we are required to create an ISO of whatever the directory we were having, whatever the content we were having in this directory, root/rhel_install. This was the directory we were having all the scripts and all the changes. So this directory we are once again required to create an ISO out of it. And for the ISO, you can see that the command is here, mkisofs, untranslated file name, wallet. Then this is the name and the Juliet long. It's again the type, how they are going to compress it. So all these arguments, you can just keep it up. And then we will have output of rhel-ks.iso. So when we will have this, we will install, we'll use this ISO, we'll burn this ISO on a pen drive or on a CD drive, and we can use this ISO for automatic installation. So we'll go once again more in deep. Okay, they have given a command also how to create an how to make this ISO bootable. So anyways, after that, we'll see that more into what is the Kickstart file and what all things it has been given and what we can do. So this is the link I have shared to everybody. And in this link, you can see that this is the basic configuration. You might require to create an account and log in here. And after that, you can see that what all things you can select here. You can select a root password here again, and then do not reboot the system, perform installation in text mode. All these things you can give. And then installation source, what you wanted to keep. You wanted to keep a DVD or a location. If you are going to keep location, then probably you might need to give the location as well, like from where on NFS, where you want to give, where you want to take the ISO. So this is for the Kickstart file actually. So Kickstart file is going to sit into the ISO, and when the ISO runs, all the information, whatever the ISO needs, the Kickstart file is going to give all the information. It's going to feed all the information on its own, one by one. So how to do the partition, remove all the partition, clear the master boot record, initialize the disk label, automatic partition. So use automatic partition. So this you need to take care what you wanted to do with this. These things you can do, and use a grub password. Here you can enable the grub password automatically. So what password you are required to give, if you enter, yeah, it's asking for the grub password as well. So generally it's disabled. Kernel parameter, what you wanted to give, you can give. Currently it's giving a crash kernel for just a size for crashing the kernel, so that it just enables the crashing of the, the crash dump. It's going to enable here with the help of kernel parameter. Choose the target architecture. So what is your target architecture you wanted to? So by default, we are going to select x86_64. It means like 64-bit, and what you wanted to install. You might have seen that in our CentOS, when we have installed, we were having all these things like server with GUI, server, minimal installation. So we are required to select, and what we want. We just want a server, and what all packages you want, you can select here, the individual packages as well. And after that, what authentication you want. So just leave it as it is, whatever the default it's asking for. Addition to that, if you have additional devices, you can select. There are lots of things. And the default networking, you are required to use DHCP. You can use DHCP, and if you don't use DHCP, probably it will, if I deselect, it might ask me for the static IP. Okay, yeah, I add a specific network device. I can add the device name, host name, all this information. I am required to give it manually. So you can do it here. And then SLNX policy, what are all things you wanted to enable from here, you can enable it. Any specific port you wanted to get enabled, you can enable any specific ports after installation. And if you don't want to install a graphic environment, you can skip. But then I think we have already skipped uh, before itself, that I don't want the graphic display. So pre-installation, you can define a script for the pre-installation, like before installing something, if you want to do something, or you can define an script here if you want something to be get it done after the installation. Let's say you wanted to create a simple user, you can add some of the command for that particular user. And if you want to give some specific thing, let's say mounting all your NFS or LDAP server into that particular system, you can include the script here. So that has to be automatically run. So whatever you think you are required to do after finishing of the installation, you can add a script simply, and you can make it executable. And when things are done, you can download it from here. After downloading, you will have the KS file, sorry, configuration file, Kickstart configuration file, and then the Kickstart configuration file you are going to keep in this one. Here you are going to keep what we have seen here, and then this file, and then you are going to perform the creation of, mounting of the mounting of the ISO, and then keeping this configuration file in the ISO folder, and then after some modification, once again creating an ISO with a KS file. That is what you can do. And when you have your ISO, you can directly use that ISO to install automatically everything. It will do everything, and that is how it has been done in an organization. In any of the organization, I can say this is how it has been done. Any doubt here in this section?
No, sir.
Thank you. So if no doubt, we'll move on to the PAM, Pluggable Authentication module. When we enable the let me stop sharing, and for that PAM as well, I'm going to share one more link. Basically it's for Ubuntu, but the same thing works for Linux as well. Sorry, the same thing works for CentOS as well. So PAM is a pluggable authentication module, and through that we can enforce lots of several what to say, several policies. Let's say in Windows you do have a policy like when you log in, your password should be at least of one character and one alphanumeric character and one number, and at least it should have this much of length, maybe 10 characters. So all these things you can enforce using PAM. You can enforce PAM. So basically this PAM is used for setting up the policy for password or for the authentication. That you'll be able to find out in etcpam.conf file, and basically this pam dot configuration file uses lots of libraries, and that compiled libraries comes along with the your package. You are not required to install any of you are not required to compile or build anything onto your system as part of PAM. So you need to install the package, and in configuration file you are required to edit. After editing, you will be able to see the changes in the behavior. Like it's whenever you change the password, it will ask you uh, to meet the at least policy whatever has been said by the administrator. So you can set different kind of policies. You can set policies for account. You can set policies for authentication. I mean, you can set up the policies for passwords. You can set up the policies for a session. Let's say suppose somebody is logged in for 5 minutes and you wanted to log him off after 10 minutes of inactivity. So those things you can do set up here. These are all the basic things has been done by the PAM. I didn't had set it up yet on this system, so maybe I can give a demo by tomorrow on this for the PAM. And I want to ask a question now to everyone. I have given a session sometime back on grub rescue. Has anybody have tried? Gangesh, Anshchan, Ritesh. Nobody has tried? You have tried but stuck. May I know like where you got stuck? Gangesh, may I know that where you got stuck? I'll reply you back, Ritesh. Because if you guys don't ask any question, it will not be interesting to go ahead for the longer time. It will be like kind of boring. I'm only speaking. You people are not much interactive, or you're not coming up with anything. So it may not be good. It will be kind of boring for you guys as well, and to me also. Okay, let me send my email ID and okay, finally you came back. Yep, tell me. This is my email ID. You can send your questions here, and you can mention that you are from the July batch. Yes, Kangesh, you wanted to say something. I believe you wanted to explain that where you got stuck. You wanted to say something, Kangesh. Okay. I think you may have some network issue. You might have some network issue. So okay, let me explain the question which has been asked by the Ritesh. Check. Is this the question you are asking, or you are saying something, Ritesh? Okay, so you can do that let's say unused IP addresses. So it means like you will have a range of an IP. In that range, you must be checking the unused IP addresses. Let me finish, Kangesh, this reply to Ritesh, and then probably we'll come back to you again. So you might have the starting IP address and the ending IP address. In that, you might be required to search unused IP and assign them. So that's what I believe the question is. So for that, the prerequisite is you need to have the IP address of the starting and ending in which you wanted to search the unused IP. So there is a command called nmap, and nmap supports searching or pinging an IP from one range to another. I'm not sure if ping also does support that, but nmap does. There can be several other applications as well. You will be able to find out which supports pinging of an IP from one range to another range. So by using that, you can ping, and if that system is live, then you can think that yes, that IP has already been assigned. And if that system is not live, you can think that that IP has not been used currently, and then you can assign the same IP to another person. And if you want automatically assign them, then you can use DHCP server. And if you want to use a DHCP server, then you need not to check for unused IP. DHCP server will automatically assign the unused IP to the new system. There are two ways to assign the IP: automatically or manually. If you want automatically to be get assigned, then you have to use DHCP server to automatically get assigned those IP. And if you are using DHCP server, then definitely you are not required to check the unused IP. DHCP server will take care of that. Which all IP has been unused, that will get assigned to a new user or any new system which is coming. And all IP do have a lease time. If that lease time has been passed, that system will get a new IP. So like that, the DHCP server do maintain the IP address assignation to old system and the new system. That's one thing. And let's say if you're looking at the manually assignation of the IP, then probably you need to check for the unused IP. That you can do using the nmap command, whatever I have mentioned. And after checking out the nmap unused IP, you can go to that system and manually write down the IPs in the configuration file, and there you will be able to assign the IP, but manually, not automatically, to that system. I hope I am able to reply, Ritesh, your question. Okay, so coming back to Gangesh. Yes, you were saying something that you got stuck.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Yes, sir. Actually, at that time I just add one hard disk
Mm-hmm.
and mount that hard disk to our system.
Mm-hmm.
But when I restart the system, it's not booting.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the rescue mode and
Mm-hmm.
use the chroot mntcmh and
Mm-hmm.
trying to find out what is the issue. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to find out, and then I try to copy the graph file from other system, but at that time I was also not unable.
No, that will not happen. I will give you a command. If you lost your grub, you can use this command to create a grub actually. But before that, you
Okay.
are required to find out your kernel version. After chroot, you need to do uname-r.
uname-r, yes sir.
Yeah, which will give you the grub, but actually that not that will give you the kernel version, but that will not be required in this case. Actually, if you want to create a grub file, you can simply run grub2 mkconfig -o is where you want to store your output, and
Okay.
you wanted to store your output in grub.cfg, but please don't copy from any another system. The reason for that is that will have a different UUID. UUID is a unique ID has been assigned by the operating system to your disk. And if you copy from another system, your grub will expect that UUID to be present in your hard disk, or that UUID to be present for your hard disk. But since you have copied from different system, that hard disk belongs to another system, and hence your bootloader will not be able to find out that UUIDs and several other things. So it will not boot at all. So by this you can generate a grub.cfg config file, and then you can use that grub.cfg to boot it. You need to check something else as well. Let's say if you have missing initramfs, or sorry, initRD.img, then you can use this command to generate the initramfs. So here the initramfs hyphen whatever you have seen, it's actually the kernel version. Yep, actually it's the kernel version. So for that you are required to using uname-r, you are required to do that. You are required to check the what is the kernel version, and the same you need to mention it here. In case if you have missed, or by mistake somebody has deleted the initramfs in that case. So I want everybody to at least try something, and then only you will end up with some problem, and then only you will start learning. If you won't try, definitely I can give in return that you are not going to learn anything at all by the lectures. You will listen, after some days you'll forget. And when interview will happen, you will be able to say that yes, I heard this question, but I don't know the answer, because you don't remember the answer. You will remember only when you will start working on the ground.